Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So, as I promised last time, my next series would be about adjusting entries. So, for today, we are going to discuss about the introduction to adjusting entries. Before we discuss how to conduct or how to do the adjusting entries using the different methods, there are some concepts that we need to know first. Bakit nga ba kailangan mag-adjust ng entries? Bakit hindi natin pabayaan na lang yung mga entries na nagawa na natin before na gano'n na lang yun? So, let us start. So, first, if you know, in accounting, di ba, kapag may mga transactions, nare-record mo siya kung ano ba yung actual na nangyari. For example, bumili ka ng supplies for 7,000 pesos. So, nung binili mo siya, hindi mo pa naman siya ginagamit. Let's say you bought it in cash. So, hindi mo pa siya i-expense. So, yung entry mo dyan is supposed to be debit supplies at 7,000 pesos. And then, credit mo is cash at 7,000 pesos. But eventually, gagamitin mo rin yung supplies na yan. And at the end of the year, yung balance ng supplies mo will not be 7,000 pesos anymore. So, yan yung pag-uusapan natin later in our discussion. So, tanggalin man natin yan. So, sa adjusting entries, there are things that we need to consider first. Let us go back to basic accounting discussion. Although, ang adjusting entries naman is basic accounting din. But we have to review some principles na supposedly were discussed to you during the earlier parts of basic accounting. So, first one is about the periodicity concept. Okay, periodicity concept. So, we all know naman that kaya tayo nag-accounting is for a business to know where does their cash or other assets go, or how does their cash flows, diba? So, and also the most important part in accounting is para malaman ni business kung kumikita ba siya o hindi. So, para malaman ni business na from time to time kumikita ba siya, hindi naman kailangang i-wait ni business na dumating yung end life ng business niya para alamin niya kung kumikita siya, or maya't maya i-check niya kung kumikita siya. Kaya nagkaroon ng periodicity concept. So, under periodicity concept, sinasabi dito na businesses has to divide its life into equal periods to assess whether what is their financial standing, or if they are earning or not. So, ito yung dividing the life of a business into equal periods. So, this is for reporting purposes. Pag sinabi natin for reporting purposes, yun nga, yung preparation ng financial statements para malaman ni business if it is earning or not. So, yung life ni business, it depends kay business kung anong period ang gusto niya. It could be monthly, it could be quarterly, or it could be annually. Okay? So, pwedeng alamin ni business kung ano ng standing niya every month, every quarter, or every year. Usually, ang ginagamit ng business is annual period. So, sa annual period, or annual accounting period, or ito yung tatawag natin na accounting year, meron ding dalawang options si business. So, ang options niya dito is, actually, there are three. Sige, mention na natin yung the least used period, which is what we call the natural period. And then, itong dalawang kasunod niya is ito yung common na ginagamit. So, we have the calendar year and or period, and the fiscal year or period. So, eto hindi ko na masyadong ipapaliwanag, pero basta sa natural period, ito yung ginagamit niya yung lowest uh, performing period ni business as its start of the period. Yun. Si calendar period naman, from the word itself, nagsistart siya ng January 1 to December 31 of the same year. Okay? Kapag fiscal period naman, this is different from calendar period because a fiscal period is at any, okay, any consecutive 12-month period. Okay? Kahit di siya mag-start ng January or mag-end ng December, basta magkakasunod na 12-month period, yun yung fiscal period. For example, si business nag-start ng April 1, so yan yung start of the period niya, mag-end siya ng, let's say, of the current year, and mag-end siya ng current year na lang lagyan natin para hindi kayo ito. Current year, ang end ng period niya is March 31st ng following year. Okay? Yan. So, for example, lagyan natin ng date. April 1, 2018, nag-start si business. So, ang reporting date niya is March 31, 2018. 2019 rather. Okay? And then, yung next accounting period niya would be April 1, 2019 and mag-end naman ng March 31, 2020. So, ganyan yung fiscal period for us to understand. Okay? So, si adjusting entries, ginagawa siya every end of the period. So, kung monthly, ang period na ginagamit ni business, every end of the month. Kung quarterly, every end of the quarter. Kung annually, every end of the accounting year. Okay? Take note of that. Kasi as I mentioned earlier, it depends nga kay business kung calendar or fiscal period yung gagamitin niya. Okay? Pag sinabing annually, hindi automatic yon na December 31 agad yung end of the year. You have to check with the business kung anong accounting period yung kanyang ginagamit. But usually naman, majority of the businesses are just using calendar period for them to have more ease on filing, especially sa mga tax preparations, mga ganon. So, yan. So, that's the first concept that we have to review before we discuss the entire adjusting entry process. So, the next one is, ito yung pinaka-importante kasi ito yung reason kung bakit ginagawa yung adjusting entries. So, we have to recall about what we call the revenue and expense matching principle. Diba? So, if you would remember, ang sinusunod natin sa accounting is accrual basis. Kung naalala nyo pa ano yung accrual basis, transactions are recorded as they occur. Diba? Whether cash is involved or not. So, wag muna natin i-discuss further to kasi madidiscuss din natin to later kapag nag-discuss na tayo ng account ng adjusting entries. But, kung nag-start naman na kayo sa accounting, I think you have idea of this already. Na, for example, may binili ka, let's say, on account, that means hindi mo pa siya binabayaran with cash, i-record mo na siya. So, wala pang involved na cash doon, pero the entries or the transaction is already being recorded. Okay? So, yan yung magiging basis ng discussion natin or review natin with regards to revenue and expense matching principle. So, dito sa revenue matching principle, lagi niyong tatandaan dito that revenue or income is recognized when earned. Pag sinabi nating recognized when earned, for example, service business ka, okay? Pag service business, once na na-render na yung service, okay, when service is already rendered or performed, okay, revenue or income is already earned, whether nabayaran ka na ni customer or hindi pa. Okay? So, yun yung sinasabi nating revenue matching principle. So, if you are a merchandise or manufacturing business, okay, yung income or revenue is earned when the goods or ownership of the goods is already transferred from the buyer to the seller. From the seller, sorry, my mistake. From the seller to the buyer. Okay? So, whether it's already paid or not, basta nag-transfer na ng ownership ng goods from the seller to the buyer, there is already income to be recognized there. Okay? So, we will have more examples later. So, ganun din sa expenses. So, sa expenses, okay? So, expense is recognized when it is incurred. Okay? So, for example, nag-rent ka sa isang space, sa isang office space, tapos hindi mo pa nababayaran yung rent mo for the month. Since nagamit mo na yung right to use that space, there is already an expense, whether you have paid for it or not. Okay? Ang kailangan lang natin tandaan dito sa revenue and expense matching principle, as I said earlier, basta na-earn na yung income or na-incur na yung expense, kahit may cash received or cash paid pa or wala, you have to recognize revenue and expenses already. And that's accrual basis of accounting. And those principles, the periodicity concept that we have discussed earlier, and the revenue and expense matching principle would be the things that you need to bear in mind when you are doing adjusting entries para mas maintindihan mo why are you adjusting that certain entry or that balance for that certain amount, and para mas maintindihan mo rin kung paano mo siya i-adjust. Okay? So that would be all for the introductory part of the topic, adjusting entries. The next video will discuss about the different transactions or the different accounts that needs to be adjusted, and how what are the different methods also of adjusting entries. So if you'd like to watch the next videos or the previous videos from this one, just subscribe to our channel. Thank you.